So, the more I research stuff, the more crazy things I find. So if you don't want to go crazy and end up down a rabbit hole, don't research. Just watch the podcast. It'll give you the information that you need. It'll be good. 1 hour, you can go about your day. So I feel like let me not put the blame on you. I'll take full responsibility here. I've been saying we're going to break down the each bank code. And we haven't. We did that. Okay. We just did one episode. So I was like, cool. Where does like personality testing come from? Like, where did it start? And why would it have started, right? So, funny enough, personality tracing, the origins, it goes back to the First World War.
The First World War?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But there was done by a doctor of the Royal Army Medical named Charles Myers. Mm-hmm. And the reason why he did it was to test for soldiers who might experience shell shock.
Oh, wow. And after the First World War?
No, he did during the First World War. During the First World War. And I was like, man, that is fascinating. So they went some more bit further and found some more modern day stuff. And then one of the ones that I found was I'm sure you heard of it, the 16 one. Personality test, 16 different.
Oh, there's so many, Sally.
Well, it's the one. Let me say it's the more well-known one, right? And I went into it and I was like, okay, this is complicated because it's INF and IN this. Oh, it's very, very complicated. So I was like, cool, let's do bank. Let's do something simple. Let's do something that people can understand and that they can implement immediately.
Okay.
So I wanted to do this with you today. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. I realized last week I actually didn't do an intro at all. I just spoke and we spoke for 45 minutes.
For 45 minutes.
I never say hello. I never say anything.
Oh, great.
I apologize for that. That is my fault. Welcome to the Uncovering Greatness podcast. As always, I am your host, Suli, and today I am joined by Nicole Mitchell. Nicole is the lead processor at Uncovering Greatness. What she helps you do is get out of the way of you. And Nicole is a newly certified bank trainer. And I think that that's super cool because just from what my research that I've been doing around banking, understanding it and getting a better understanding of it has been mind-blowing how this stuff works and how you can actually see it in the real world. Like how you can actually see people's codes. It's almost like they pop up on them and you're like, oh man, that's fascinating. How you doing, Nicole? How goes it?
Good, thank you, Sally. How are you?
Good, thanks, and you? I wonder how you deal with it. Because you're a processor and you do bank. So you see people's shit and you see their codes at the same time. It's wild.
So it is really cool being a processor because one, I get to help them clean up all their stuff. But two, when you understand bank is based on people's values.
Okay.
So what are their values?
Cool.
Okay. So for example, if we take the blueprint is the very first one. So their values are stability, structure, systems, planning, processes, predictability, responsibility, duty, rules, credentials, titles, and tradition. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if a blueprint comes in, I think the best way is for me to put it in terms of if you put 4 people in a car,
yeah,
okay, and you have 4 different people, the 4 different codes.
Yep.
Okay, so we have the blueprint, we have the action, the nurturer, and the knowledge. So with B.A.N.K, action, nurturer is yellow, and then the knowledge is green. So if we have 4 different people in a car accident, each one of them is one of those 4 codes,
yeah,
you will get, they have this car accident and they come out of the car accident and you will get 4 very different responses to the car accident.
Okay.
So a blueprint, for example, will be wanting to know who planned the roads, what happened, why was your timing out, what, you know, they, like, what was the predictability of who broke the rules, that sort of thing. And they'll be going into all the, like, it was your duty to drive safely, like, you know, those kind of things. Like,
Could be like,
why weren't you responsible? Like, those kind of things. So,
do you have a driver's license? How long have you been driving?
yes, the blueprint will go into all the structure, the stability, like who called the police, what time did they call them, those kind of things. And then you've got your action that'll come out, and your action, their values are like freedom, spontaneity, fun, you know, that kind of thing. And they'll be going, woohoo, let's do that again, you know, and they're like, wow, this was so exciting. Your nurturer, or nurturing, is, you know, they value relationships, community, they significance, teamwork, involvement. They're the ones, harmony. They're probably going to be in shell shock.
Yeah.
Because they're like, how could this have happened? Like, you know, who's got hurt? You know, where's the morality in it? Where were the ethics? Like all those kind of things.
Would you say even in that example, like the harmony is thrown off completely because there's it's not just flowing on the road, and the harmony is just throwing them off. Okay.
And then your knowledge is your learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery. Like, which idiot, like, didn't, like, it's logical to slow down a traffic light.
It is.
You know, and they'll be going into the science and the research and development of, was it out, like, if there was a screech of tires with it, you know, what brand of tires did you use, those kind of things. So, and not, that's just to give you an example of the different values of people will then dictate what happens in an upset.
Okay.
So from a processing perspective, someone will come in and they'll tell me, like if I'm processing, for example, a family, just, you know, and I process the mother, and the mother's a blueprint, and the mother will say, you know, oh, you know, it was so predictable that this was going to happen. And then they're going up, then I'm going to be processing rules, responsibility, like my, you know, in terms of, that person was late. No wonder we had a car accident, you know, because
that wouldn't have happened.
if we were on, exactly. And so now we start processing the things that happened around that based on the blueprint's values.
Okay.
The actions, forgotten about it because it was fun. So that it doesn't even come up. So if the father's the action in the family, you know, that you're like, so, you know, I just want to check how was your week, and they're going, no, cool, my week was awesome. Like, they didn't even register that there was a car accident, or, you know, then the knowledge, we have to process the big shock, and because their values, their harmony's been upset, their world collapsed because, you know, they were late and they let this person down, or blah, blah, blah. So from a processing perspective, using the B.A.N.K coding system is super helpful because it helps people understand why they reacted the way they did versus why their husband is not even interested, or doesn't care. Doesn't care, exactly. I mean, you know, he was the one who was late, and we almost died, and, you know, he doesn't even care. You know, he hasn't even brought it up. Like, but if people understand, because the value was fun and freedom and spontaneity and winning, and like, as far as he's concerned, we're winning because suddenly, you know what, we get to upgrade our car.
Yeah.
Now that the car's written off, you know, we get a new one, and that's so exciting because I can.
And also, like the amount of stimulation that an action would get from that thrill of spinning it. For them, it's like, woo, it's got a free roller coaster.
Correct. So, and the blueprint is still trying to work out why, you know, who filed the report, when did the report defiled, all those kind of things. But from a processing perspective, it makes it so much easier for people to understand, oh, I am wired differently to you. And my values are different to you. And so for me, like I said, the reason why this is so powerful when it comes to processing is because I can help people understand why their husband doesn't care. It's not that he doesn't care, it just wasn't a value. His values got stimulated in a very different way.
Yeah, because and like you said, because he's wired differently, right? I feel like that's probably the big problem in the world, that people don't want to accept that we're wired differently.
Correct. You're supposed to be upset like me.
I'm like, why?
I don't understand. And so then you throw in some emotions like, oh, I don't know, let's say grandpa was driving and grandpa died, I don't know, some random example. Grandpa died and you've got the one family member that's going, thank goodness. And the other one's devastated.
Yeah.
And people are going, but I don't understand, like you should be devastated too. And no, you should be relieved, you know. Now we don't have to cover his medical bills, we don't have to do this, we don't have to do that. And the other person's going, oh no, it's devastating because of X, Y, and Z. But it's just, if you understand everybody's wired differently, and then with certain emotions, you know, people are going, you need to feel upset. I don't understand why you don't feel upset.
What's wrong with you? Something must be wrong with you.
Yes. And so it's fascinating to observe how people get different results from exactly the same incident. It's like boy meets girl, they fall in love, boy breaks up with girl, and everybody says, you should be upset. And the girl's going, I don't understand why I'm not upset.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
There must be something wrong with me that I'm not upset. Meanwhile, it's exactly that. I dodged a bullet. Geez, thank goodness I got out of that one.
Yeah, the worst part is you can't say that to people. Like because people will be like, you done me, you didn't care.
And all of these things. And so what happens is people today are going, but you're supposed to feel like I do.
No.
Or you didn't apologize the way I would have apologized.
This gave me flashbacks.
But that's what happens is people go, that's not an apology. And you're going, but I'm saying sorry. No, that's not an apology. You should have sent me flowers and you should have done this. But why? I would not normally have done that. And you're going, well, you're not sorry.
Yeah.
And you're going, and this is where it's challenging in the world today, is you have to treat people the way that they will do something, not the way you will do it.
Yeah. That just that just gave me the thoughts around marriage. Like how many times I've said sorry and it's like, no, you're not sorry. And I'm like, logic says if I use the words I am sorry, it means I'm sorry. But because your code is different to mine, I've got to understand how to do that, you know, like get that out to you. And like, as you were speaking, I also just thought about it makes so much sense as to why this guy tried to do personality testing in World War I. Because imagine you have some people running in ready to shoot and just going nuts. And they're like, yeah. And you have others who are like, this is, guys, can we just think about what we did here?
And you got other people wanting to know how the bullets work.
Exactly.
And like, where do we stand fire? How do we move?
What's the system? When do we shoot? Do they shoot first and let me shoot? How does this work? And that's crazy because I could immediately see, because you were teaching at Entrepreneur Hangout on B.A.N.K 2 weeks ago, beginning of this month. Next one, April 10th, book your seats. And you were speaking on how it's important to have, but more so to understand people's codes in your team.
Well, the very first thing is before you even go to people in your team, you need to understand your B.A.N.K code. So for me, what I love about the B.A.N.K codes is that it's easy to remember.
Yep.
There's 4 colors.
Yeah.
Okay. And every single person is some of all 4.
Okay.
Okay. And at any one point in time, you could be one of the 4. So even myself, who's typically not an action person, there are times in my life when I operate in that code.
Got you.
There are times when I value the freedom, flexibility, fun, winning. Believe it or not, I do some pursuits sometimes.
With Bella.
With my dog, yes.
The rest of you can go fly kites.
It's so funny, the first thought that came to mind was, but we have rules, you know.
Straight back into blueprints.
Straight back. But it's, so understand that the power of the B.A.N.K system is that there are 4 codes and we do operate in all 4. Some people predominantly will operate, like for myself, I will operate in these 2, a yellow and a blue, blueprint and nurturer. My husband operates in these two, the red and green,
Funny enough.
funny enough. And then we put those together.
Dynamic duo.
We can be when we operate in our strengths.
A duo, not dynamic.
However, when we operate in our weaknesses, it can be damn flippin' ugly. When we are operating at the weaknesses of each other. So, you know, and I'm going, but you're late. And he's going, but I was having fun. And I don't even have to go any further.
Yeah, that's it. That is.
Because that's exactly what happens in households is that. And it's so you come back to your team in businesses, the same thing happens. It's like, you're like, yes, but do you know what happened? You know, this, that. And I met the clients at the coffee shop on my way to work. And, oh, you know, I was closing a deal. And you've got your action.
Yeah.
He's the deal maker. He's show me the money.
Yeah.
And, you know, your blueprints to your accountant wants you to know why you were late, why were you buying coffee, you know, and what were you doing and how much did you spend and da-da-da-da-da. And so we have all these different codes in the same space, and different people are operating in the different codes at different times. But if you don't understand your codes and you don't understand how you operate, it becomes very challenging to even understand anybody else. So number one is, first of all, you need to understand you and what your codes are.
Definitely.
Then start to understand your team.
Okay.
And once you understand your team and you get to know the people in your team, like for example, if I go this way, my third code is the green one, and this is my stress code. So when I'm stressed, I operate in knowledge. I want to know what you were doing, why you were so stupid, and how you did not have any logic.
Been there.
So I know that Suleman, they have experienced this, my stress code, in a very negative way. But if I understand that that's what I go into when I'm stressed, I can even then start to understand, oh shit, I'm asking, what's wrong with them? Where's the logic? Then immediately I can go, what am I stressed about? You know, because I've gone into my green code, which is knowledge. So I understand that when I start to ask those kind of questions, like what were they thinking? Like, what's
You
wrong
can
with
ask yourself that question instead of asking it out loud.
I can then go, oh, I'm stressed. What am I stressed about? Okay, cool. And then I can start to like take a step back. Well, do I want to be stressed? What mood would I rather be in? Well, I'd rather be confident. I'd rather be connected. I'd rather be present, or whatever it is. I can then shift back into a more optimum space, and I can maybe decide I want to operate in action. So, for example, when I'm teaching, I can stick to the boring blueprint.
Yeah, structure.
The structure, the same codes, the same predictable, the same monotone voice, you know, the same PowerPoint slide, duck, duck, duck. Okay, I need to spend exactly 2 minutes on this slide, move it over. Or I can be very aware that I need to shift into this code of action because I need to have some excitement in my voice, depending on what I'm presenting, but I need to be aware that I can do that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I've literally seen you do that, and I've probably got like 10 hours of recording of you teaching, and then going from blueprints. This is, you know, doing your thing, and then when you can see that the audience is not with you, and they're just gone, and you usually do something that's unexpected. Well, for me, it's like she's real clear, and I'm like, why is she playing this? And everybody just all of a sudden everybody comes into play again. Now that you mention that, I'm like, oh, I should pay more attention to that now. I get it.
But it's just understanding. This is not, this action code is I'm not going to say it's hard, but I have to really concentrate in order to do it because it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the action code is Barry's normal code, and he can teach for 5 days straight, 9 hours a day, or probably 18 hours a day for 5 days straight. He could do that, and he has the energy to do that because that is one of his values. It's something that feeds him and feeds his energy. Whereas for me, that like a day, 2 days, my energy is going to be so drained because it takes a lot of my energy to work with that much enthusiasm and excitement. But now, if I have to run a room for 5 days and I have to create structure and systems and planning, I'm right there with Barry. It feeds my spirit, it feeds my values. It energizes me to create systems and planning and to create structure and keep everything running. And that's where the two of us work so well together, is because he can create energy and drive it, and I'm picking up the pieces behind going, whoa, stop, you need to, you need to think about how you do that before you go do that.
Yeah.
So it's just understanding that every code has values, and if you're not aware of them and you're not aware of the people in your team, it's going to be very challenging to drive somebody on a commission structure that is their highest values are nurturing, because a nurturing person is not interested in money, and you're trying to drive them and you're going, right, we're going to put a commission structure in place, and if you did these targets and you do this, you're going to earn this much money. Your nurturing person is going to go, so what?
What happens now?
And you're going, but come on, we need something to drive you, to get you excited. Come on, and you're like, money ain't it. And if you understand that, you can go, okay, cool. You can stop and look and go, okay, what is going to drive your nurturing person? What is their values? Like, if you understand that maybe they want to start a community center. Okay, so now you're going, okay, cool. So if you meet these deliverables, can we help you with your community center? How will this benefit your community center? And suddenly now your nurturing person is going, yes, I'm there.
Got it, let's run.
And they're there because
Makes
that's those are their values, is, in terms of contribution and involvement, teamwork, significance, legacy, those kind of things.
No, it's interesting that you brought that one up, because when we speak about commission structures as a knowledge, I kind of go, well, the logic says to me that only works if I do what I'm supposed to do. We have a commission structure that it doesn't make logical sense to me. It's not really a driver, is it? It's cool for everybody else. Go ahead and run with it. I'm not saying don't run with it. I'm just saying for me, it just doesn't make sense.
Correct.
Yeah.
So as someone who has very high nurturing values, a commission structure is not going to feed you. It's not going to get you moving. It's not going to get you doing the things you need to do.
And it's a weird thing it's because even when I was asked the question, I was like, how do I answer this without saying, I don't care? I care. How much I do?
Money doesn't drive me.
And I don't want anybody to be like, what? Money doesn't drive? Oh, it's wrong. Yeah, you need money. I'm like, I get what money does. I'm not saying I don't understand it. I do. But it doesn't make me go, okay, cool. If it did, I would be in a much different position.
But now if you understand, when you're dealing with your nurturing person, you go, okay, cool. If you meet your deliverables on Mandela Day, let's do X, Y, and Z. But you have to meet your deliverables.
Oh,
That person's in,
they'll smash it.
Correct.
They'll smash it on. Oh.
And if you understand, your action person is going to be, where's the money? We have to get money. And if you're the nurturing boss going, I don't understand why you're always focused on money. This company is not a money-driven business.
Yeah.
This is,
we care about our clients, we build community, we foster our relationships. That's what it's about. Yes. Action going, okay, but how do you make money? Where's the money?
Where's the money? Like, how am I gonna, like, what's in it for me? Like,
Awesome that we have a community. If I'm not getting paid, what does your community do for me?
and so it's, you put all those people together in a business, and it's important for you to understand you have to drive all 4 of those people in your team. But if you don't understand what their value is, and you're trying to drive somebody with, for example, you're trying to drive an action person by, on Nelson Mandela Day, we're going to do it. They're actually just going to be going, why would I want to do that? Like,
I've spoken to Barry. He's always about doing things like that. He's like, okay, go do it. What? What do you mean? We must do it. Okay.
and that's where it's understanding that the values are so different from everybody, that by stopping and going, okay, what is this person's values? Okay, they value planning, structure, stability, being on time. They want to know the process. They want to know we go from A to B to C. And if you're trying to put a commission structure and you're going, you get that much, your blueprint is going to be going, but I want to understand why.
Really?
Like, show me the process. How did you get to there? Your knowledge is going to want to know, why did you pick that number? How does it work? What's the accuracy behind it?
What do I have to do first? Is there a catch behind this? Explain that to me so that I can understand.
And how competent is it? And they're looking at the big picture. How's this number going to affect the business? And they're looking at all the different things, and where your action's just going, cool, give me.
You have no idea that you're actually getting a 2% commission, but you just had more money and you said, I'm going. I'll be there.
Correct. And so it's fascinating when you start to put it into teams, because do you know first of all, what drives you? What are your values?
Yeah.
And do you understand how your values drive you?
Do you think people... Okay.
Do I think people will think? No.
We say this a lot on this show as well. I'm not being a counter for it, but we're not generalizing. How many people do you think people think about their values?
No.
They just
Well, if you don't know what they are, how would you think about them?
That's true. You think they've gotten confused as to what their values are? Sort of like a misunderstanding of values.
So,
Generalization,
yes. Most people have no idea what they want. They have no idea why they want what they want, and they have no idea why they do the things that they do. Okay. And a lot of that comes back to, from a processing perspective, is people have upsets, their life force protocols get tied up in those upsets, and then they don't have enough energy to do or to even put attention on what is it that I want.
Yeah.
Okay, so I use the example of, if you are in action, so you are full of life, red hot, on fire, energy, and you grow up in a household where somebody is a blueprint, where they tell you there are rules.
Yep. There's structure.
There's structure. You have to be somewhere at a certain time. You cannot change from the plan. You cannot. This poor little action child is going to grow up with all these upsets in their life because they've been forced into a box. Okay? Now, generally, they have no idea that they were forced into a box, because everybody else in the family did it. So I can't understand why it was so painful and hurtful for them, because everybody else in the house was okay to follow the rules, and everybody else was. So I feel like I'm the black sheep, for example, or I feel like, and I have all these upsets. I can't understand why I'm upset, because nobody else in the house is upset. But this poor little person, their little red hot firecracker action that wants to be everywhere and do everything, has been pushed into this box, and it has been incredibly painful for them. But the world has told them, suck it up.
Get over it, man.
So
It was when you were a child. That's
correct, you know. And your parents were doing the best that they could. They were doing what they knew.
That statement gets to me so hard. Like, oh.
And so you have this poor little action person that now starts working, and now they're trying to be this creative, fun, exciting person, and that's what they want to be. But then they have a blueprint colleague that keeps going, why are you doing that?
You do it the wrong way. You do it this way. That's
Oh, sorry, you should have held it this way. And this poor action's going, yeah, and then they're squashing themselves back into the box that they're trying to get out of. And somebody just comes and makes a simple comment like, why are you doing it like that? And this one goes, oh no, I'm doing it wrong. And
that's how
they
you got triggered.
and they put themselves back in the box because that's what they were taught to do their whole life. So they have no idea that their value is freedom, excitement, fun, winning, because they've been told you have to follow rules, you have to do it this way, and that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think about when you ask the question before, like, let's just say before you start explaining the codes, and you'll say something like, rules are meant to be, and the answer is always broken. And I'm like, why did you guys grow up that the rules were meant to be broken? But that's just...
And you also want to know, because these guys love excitement, and they love fun, and they love to be the center of the attention, they're going to be the loudest in the room. So when I ask that question,
The
these
first one
guys,
action guys and
the
gets
first ones are go, rules are meant to be broken.
like, what do you mean rules are meant to be understood?
And this guy over here is going, you're supposed to be followed. But now, because they are structured and banned and systems and predictable, and there's their responsibility to let everybody know that you mustn't do that, but they're going to do it in their own quiet way because they don't want to get out the box.
Because the rules are you're not supposed to be loud as people.
Correct, you have to respect other people.
Correct. Yeah, I was just thinking about a story with my mom. Yo, I hope my mom doesn't curse me from above. But I think she was very blueprint in terms of like traditions and structure and all of that. And one day it was a Sunday, and Sunday we had Sunday lunch every Sunday. Even if you didn't live in the house, you came back to the house every Sunday. At 1 o'clock. We are having lunch. It's going to be ready at that time. So I was busy with my brothers, and we were cleaning the car outside, and we finished. And as boys do, just messing around. She's like, it's time for lunch. And I went into my stress code for some weird reason. My stress code was action. And I was like, cool, I'll park the car. It was literally straight. I just had to move straight. I don't have to go that far. Bearing in mind, I probably had like 2 driving lessons in that time period. So I was still figuring my life out. Somehow, somewhere, I ended up in the wall.
In the wall.
In the wall.
The
whole left side of the car was just not there anymore. It was there, but it was just...
But it was now a different color and squished and angled and...
That blueprint went crazy on me because I was like, the system is that one of my older brothers parked the car when we are done washing the car and we come inside and so on and so forth. And I broke out of it because you said I would come inside, so I need to move this car quickly so that
because it's stressful, because I don't want to be late because it's stressing me out, exactly.
Yeah, and it's funny, I'm always used to ask her, like, why? Because logic said to me, I've moved out, I'm no longer here. And I still come back for lunch. Why can't I do my own thing on a Sunday? And she literally said this to me. When you have your own family and your own children, do what you want. As long as you're still my child, you do what I tell you. Now with all this knowledge, I'm like, I get it now. I understand so well. I would have told her.
Your logic, in terms of being a knowledge, kicked in. It's logical. I don't live here anymore. I don't have to come for lunch.
Nope.
And also that, you take the self-mastery as I want to do my own thing. I want to figure out self-mastery.
Yeah.
I want to start cooking my own lunches. I want to get, do my own thing.
Yeah, it's actually so fascinating how all these things, and I also wanted to go back to something you said when you were talking about when you go into your stress code of knowledge, and then you said your stress, no, you said your stress codes. Actually,
Yeah,
it's knowledge. Sorry.
the greener.
And then you think about, but then you think you sit back and you gain the awareness to go, okay, I am stressed. That's why I'm behaving the way I'm behaving. I'm reacting the way that I'm reacting. I feel like, and and you can clear this up for me. It's not like you're sitting there for 30 minutes doing this.
No.
It's pretty short, right? The time frame.
Well,
For you, I'm not saying like, as you guys don't have awareness of it.
so for in it's again, it's just dependent on what's got triggered, when, where, how, who. But it can be seconds, it can be minutes, it can be hours, it can be days.
Okay.
Okay. So I know that when I'm stressed about something, I will go into like that, how can they be so stupid, and I'll go into research and development, and I'm like, check, I'll even show you, are you being an epic, and I go into that, I need to learn this, and then I'm going to get good at this so that I can show you, and that's that self-mastery that kicks in. And I'm the expert, and I value expertise, and I'm going straight to the expert. I want to know who was the person who created this, invented this. And it may just be in one area in my life.
Okay.
So it may just be with a certain person. Like, for example, if I'm at CrossFit and somebody's, stressed me out, I will go into that with CrossFit.
Okay.
But then with work, I can stay in my blueprint and nurturing, fun, caring person. But and that's why I say it can be days, because every time, it's only for short periods in the day. But because I'm not focusing on it all the time, it may take me longer to realize I'm in that
In that
state. But there will come a time where I suddenly go, why am I being so, why do I want to know everything? Why am I'm stressed? And it could also be 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It just varies on the subject, the topic, the people. But essentially, the moment I'm questioning or I'm telling people that they are idiots and it's logical, whoa, stop. That's my stress code. What am I stressed about? And then I can shift. But it is having the awareness of this is my behavior. The same is true of blueprint. If I am being overly bearing and overly like planning, we're going on a family holiday, or let's say we're setting up an event even in work, and I'm going into this, we need to know A, B, C, like what time are you going to be there, how, what, where, what, and I kick into that. This can be just as damaging as my knowledge if I'm not aware of, not everybody needs to know all this information.
Yep.
Not everybody needs to, know exactly what the rules are and know when, where, how, who, and, they don't need to know that this person's arriving at this time and that person, I can kill the party by being a blueprint in my normal code. And I need to be aware of, whoa, stop. This sales rep is an action person, and I'm asking them for 1 million reports.
In this banner. Yeah.
They're not going to receive that well, because I can kill an action by being in my blueprint code, just like I can do just as much damage. So it's having that awareness of my behavior and suddenly go, whoa, this is too much for this person. I need to shift it to, I need to be more nurturing.
So you can take somebody out of their strength because you try to play in your strength, if I'm understanding. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That's wild.
But if I'm not aware that it's a strength or it's a weakness, it can be just as damaging.
Yeah.
What you're saying, it's,
no, 100%.
but it's having that awareness of, this is my behavior, this is the way I'm acting. Right, stop. Do I need to act like this right now? Is this important? what's more important right now?
Yeah, I went into my stress code this weekend, which is actually gonna clean the house.
Wow.
Okay.
How clean mode?
How about that stress? But in terms of what you say, I did have the awareness of it, and the horrible part was I was midway through, so I could have just stopped. I was like, wait, man, I'm doing this for all the wrong reasons. Damn it, I'm already halfway through. And then I went into knowledge.
Get to this
And
later.
I actually went into logic, and I was like, logic said if I do it now,
Then it's done.
then it's done, and then I have the day, and I can do what I want to do, and all of that. But it was crazy to actually pick that up and actually go, I am stressed by a situation that me and my partner are going through. I'm gonna do and I thought I was doing the right thing because I was stressed. I thought I was doing the right thing, only to find out I wasn't doing the right thing. I was doing another thing because at that point in time,
Running in the wrong code.
in the wrong code.
Wrong panties.
I needed to be in. There's something else that was actually needed, and would have better served her and me if I just. Well,
We took to the ridiculous.
yeah, probably. It's a bit funny because it's a little bit.
Whatever it was.
Take some responsibility. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Well, we didn't get to each code.
No, we still haven't got in there. You're gonna get there.
We'll get there, but
Okay.
I hope this has been valuable just in terms of understanding that, number one, understand your code. If you need to, so we can put the link on and you can go to crack, and go and crack your code and understand which ones do you mainly operate in. Understand who you are, and then you can start to understand the people around you.
Which ones did we do? Did we do any? In terms of the
I think I read the blueprint ones. That was it. I just read
okay.
today. You're talking about today?
Yeah, today.
Yeah, I just read the blueprint, but that was.
3 more episodes to go. Yes, but I hope you guys found value in this. I know I found value in it. Really appreciate you, Nicole, and I appreciate actually how this can tie into processing and how you can really start to shift your life, but also just the way you think and the way you operate with other people. I think that's probably the biggest segue I've had from researching B.A.N.K and understanding it better. It's really about one, understanding yourself firstly and how your values maneuver you, and two, how that actually works with other people. And I think that's massively important. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So we'll see you guys
Next
week on the Uncovering Greatness podcast. Don't forget, or you can't forget because I never told you about this, but on the 2nd of April, we have Ignite Your Sales, a free sales training event, 1.5 to 2 hours with Mr. Barry Mitchell, one of the best business development trainers on the continent, if not the planet. And then on the 10th of April, we have Entrepreneur Hangout. Looking forward to another awesome session of Entrepreneur Hangout. $550 gets you in at the Fat Ginger, get you a full breakfast, 2 hours of learning and meeting awesome business owners and entrepreneurs. So please do book. I will put all the links, as Nicole mentioned. I will put the Crack My Code link as well, so you guys can go check out your codes. But yeah, until then, see you guys next week.
Bye.